Welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast, broadcasting live from Swing Away Golf Club. I'm your host, Charlie Bolak. Today we're talking about heavy equipment sales versus operations, T-ball weather drama, and why your golf bag may be lying to you. Let's get into it.
Hey, good morning there, swingers. Charlie Bolak coming at you live from the Clubhouse. It is Tuesday morning, March the 31st, a little before 9:30. We got a great show coming at you today. We're going to be talking about some heavy equipment sales versus operations, challenges to say the least. We have some more T-ball weather-related drama in our household, as well as why your golf bag may be lying to you. Back, we're going to talk now about how sales affects operations and heavy equipment. And don't get me wrong, I know my history is in sales, but I have been in operations. I'm not the consummate defender of the sales rep because they can get themselves in just as much trouble as the ops team can. It's all about messaging. It's setting out the pace of the deal from the get-go, setting expectations, and just packaging the total deal. And we'll break down piece by piece what that looks like, but it really starts promises versus reality. And that's very early on in the deal process, the deal cycle, when you're still basically qualifying the deal, meaning that the customer saying, okay, this is what I want. Can you get that? Yes. This is when I want it. Can you do that? Yes. This is how I want it to be, where I want it to be. Can you do that? Yeah. And it one step builds on the next. In my personal business right now, I've got a deal where a couple of vendors have misstated their capabilities as far as lead time. And one historical vendor, done business with him before, never felt like it was a total deal, but nothing egregious enough to where he didn't have another shot at it down the road when other options opened up. So fast forward to a few weeks ago, we had been talking and had a pretty good piece of equipment picked out, had what we thought was a pretty good lead time negotiated. Customer pulls the trigger, we go back, and lo and behold, what we thought was going to take 7 to 10 days is now 16 to 20 weeks. And it kind of mind boggling because there was never any discussion of, hey, there's only a few of these ready and sitting. So it begs the question, were there ever any ready and sitting? And I learned one thing for sure that I'll share with you is that when a manufacturer says they have something in stock versus when a retailer, a customer facing operation says they have something in stock, it is two completely different things. So from the manufacturer we were dealing with, when they said in stock, they meant they had all the components to assemble the pumps. And we thought, having dealt with that, if I tell a customer I've got something in stock, it means I'm looking at it. I can physically put my hands on it because I'm down the supply chain a little bit. I have more of that customer facing interaction than at that point it's a B2B between the manufacturer and me, I don't know if I'd call it a wholesaler at this point, but kind of a middleman. I'm not necessarily a retailer because I'm not a dealership, but I'm the guy who can connect the manufacturer with the end user that has built up a knowledge base to where I can tell the manufacturer what the end user wants. And I can speak both languages because the contractor is going to have one language, the manufacturer is going to have another language. And that is why guys like us, the salespeople of the world, bring value, because the customer, the end user, is not always going to know how to tell the manufacturer what they want in their machine in a way that the manufacturer can understand it. And that's what we're here for. That's where we begin to insert our value into these deals, these processes, into these customer interactions, right? And we specifically have gone out, gotten with several different manufacturers and packagers, and we've come up with a really good piece of equipment for the customer. But the customer does not now understand that now it's a custom built piece of equipment. It's not something that we're just going to buy off a shelf somewhere, as it may be off a lot or a yard or something such that may be. And why that's important in this perspective, in the perspective of the heavy equipment world, it is lead time, right? If we, the rep, cannot keep front of mind that, okay, early on in this, I told them, I think we've got a few of these in stock, but worst comes to worst, it's gonna be a little bit of a build time. And then we can get into more of defining the specifications of what he's looking for in his machine. And then we realize, okay, this is actually going to be a custom build. This is not going to be, hey, call this manufacturer, we need a couple of these. This is call this manufacturer and say, hey, do you think if I pair your pump in with this guy's engine, get it packaged by this guy to do this specifically, what are your thoughts on that? And it's always going to be a yay or nay. Yeah, we think that's going to work just fine. Here's an updated curve to show what that power curve would look like, what the fuel consumption curve would look like. Or we can just put it all together in our document and present it to you nice and neat. And that's where the role we are currently attempting to fill lives, because there's just not a person there designed to be in between the contractor and the manufacturer's rep is out chasing much bigger fish than custom designing a pump with one contractor in a southeastern state. How about that? Is that vague enough for everybody? But yeah, that's so, in my opinion, this is why it's more so on the reps. But if we travel backwards and say, hey, you know, how do we get into this situation? The rep is out. I'm out making some ridiculous promises because I know I've got the best team in the industry. So I'm saying my team can do A, B, C, and D. And the customer is like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So we built our business to give you A, B, C, and D, but we have to execute. If we give you A and B and then just assume that C and D are magically find their way into this deal and into the customer's life, then we've made a mistake from the get-go, and we've let the ops team down. We've let the side down because we're not giving out good information. It was always a joke in the industry, and I'm sure it still is, to under-promise, over-deliver. And it's not so much a joke in the sense of, oh, ha, that's funny, but it is a fine line, right? It's how much can you under promise and still get the deal? Because somebody can come in and say, oh, yeah, I got that sitting. I'll have it to you tomorrow morning. I'll give it to you half the price that he will. And then get the deal and not be able to deliver. That's good for me, because that means I can come back now and ask for a better price. Hey, it would have been this yesterday, but now I've got this guy looking into it. I may need to get a little bit more for this. It's sales is a give or take. And that's why I loved it so much. That's why I felt like I was so good at it, because I had a pretty good gut of where the customer was and where I needed to be to get the deal done, and where we could fudge in the middle of the deal to still keep the customer happy and still get our side of it done. But there's just nothing to it but then to bite the bullet. There's been a few times I've missed on a freight number, or situations have changed to where I had time to get a better freight number, and then all of a sudden I didn't have time and I had to eat that. That's on me. Well, I personally did not, and my company had to eat it. And now, to me, as an agent of the company, that's just a risk the company took when they hired me. I guarantee you, if I did that more times than not, I wouldn't have been there very long. If you have that track record of success, they'll give you some when you make a mistake, because everybody does it. It's just part of the business. Nobody is perfect. There's never been a completely perfect transaction in the history of sales, whether it was something to do with the very first moon landing or the first pump that somebody sold yesterday. It's inevitable that there will be challenges and there will be setbacks. The successful salesman and the successful team, really, if we want to take one more step up the rung and say, you know what, for a successful entire unit team where sales and ops are on the same page, firing together, there is not a better way to do a deal, but there's never been a perfect deal. What it is, sales may drop a ball a little bit, ops catches them. Ops may drop a ball a little bit, sales catches them. That's a team. That is why these medium-sized outfits can really perform so efficiently, is because they're designed to operate in that medium capacity area where if they need to get busy, scale up a little bit. If they need to get skinny, scale down a little bit. It really is true. When you think back to business class, there's scale, there's economies of scale, there's comfort zones and break points. And it's funny, you get out into business and you start to see some of it. You're like, oh, wow, that I actually saw that in a textbook somewhere a long time ago. And it rings true today. It's getting your business in these right little pockets to where you can maximize your profit before the next break point, or the next inflection point, or the next decision point where, hey, am I going to stay right here, build into my comfort zone, really dig into it and embrace it? Or am I going to go to the next level? Am I going to jump and scale? All right. So I guess I've digressed from the sales versus ops a little bit, but that's one of the points of the show is to take a look at business from a whole, not just one person's perspective, as many perspectives as you can put on a situation, because hey, that's how we learn. That's how we grow. Let's see. How do we get back on track here? Yeah, alignment between overpromising is expensive. I think we already talked about that. I think that and all the points I wanted to hit on there. A bad sales, operational stress. I think we did talk about that. Salesman misses a deadline, misses a promise, and then ops has to come in, pick up the damage a little bit. We've gone through inventory versus custom orders and painting yourself into a corner with a timeline. That's my wife's a lawyer, and she is very careful about telling somebody when something will be delivered. I'm not that good at that. I've since I've seen her kind of deal with it, I've gotten a little bit better. But I was always one that was like, "Hey, I will get this as soon as absolutely humanly possible. If I have to throw it in a trailer and get it to you, I will." I functioned in an environment where you could always make something happen. It might not have been exactly what the customer wanted, but we could always find a way to get them out of a bind. And that's, I guess, in the legal profession, it doesn't really work like that. There's not a whole lot of fire drills that have to happen right now in her line of work. Not saying all legal profession, but what she does is a highly specialized transactional business, and it affords her the ability to push some things, pull some things in the schedule to make it work. And I've tried to really take that into the equipment industry as much as I can, but it's a lot more fluid, which is probably why I do that and not stare at a computer screen all day like she does. But hey, thank you so much for tuning in to this segment. We're going to jump right over to the T-ball dramas around through the break. We're going to jump on in here to the next segment, and we should be able to bring it on home interruption free for the rest of the show here. So we're going to just dive right in. So we are at T-ball drama, and we've talked about this show, or we've talked about this on the show before. My middle son, it just absolutely loves T-ball, talks about it all the time, but the weather is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to watch. So the first thing he says on a game day when he wakes up, pops up right out of bed, "Daddy, can we check the weather?" So we get our weather app out. Okay, it's 15% chance for rain. Oh no, buddy, that's not a bad thing, really. In Alabama, 15% chance, as we've recently come to find out, means that there is 100% chance that 15% of the coverage area may get rained on. Is that what they say? It's to me, I don't quite understand it. I used to think if there's a 15% chance of rain, that meant 85% of the time it's not, 15% of the time it is. But it has something to do with 15% of the market coverage area may see rain. All the statistics and probabilities, that just goes, ooh, that level of math. That's just not me. Anyway, it translates into just such a heartbreaking time because a little bit of moisture and they just go ahead and call it too cold. They called it for being too cold a few weeks ago. And I didn't know what I thought about that. And not blaming the coach or the association, not blaming anybody in particular. It's just a weird thing to call, but hey, is what it is. Let's see. What else do we have? So yeah, kids hype, parents secretly hoping. I don't know. I guess I have in the past, but it's hard to secretly hope when you see just the pure joy that's on their face and actually seeing the downside of the emotional roller coaster that it puts them wondering if it's going to rain. Because I can see Teddy at school right now looking out the window, seeing clouds, thinking, is it going to rain or not? You're leaving me on the fence. It's too much for my little 4-year-old heart to take. And it's really fun though. And it's I made the comment when I coached his soccer team that was like herding cats, and now it's herding toddlers. They're growing up a little bit. You're getting a little bit more compliance out of them. And it's so funny to watch when they're fielding. They just group up. Somebody hits the ball and they take off. And then they'll wrestle around on the ground for the ball. Hey, I'm loving it. We're really loving it. It's one of the jokes. We prepare like it's game 7, game where nobody even keeps score. All right, last one we're going to get into. And this one's near and dear to my heart right now because it's made such an impact in my golf game. And it's the weight of your clubs. So I got fitted for the irons that I played for the last probably 10 years, probably sometime around 2016, 2017, maybe even 2018, somewhere around there. Then I played the irons from then until a few months ago. And I just wondered why my consistency was off. I wasn't hitting the ball as well as I should, as long as I should. I wasn't able to work the ball like I should have been. But the amount I was playing, the amount I was practicing, and the amount of effort I was putting in, I was not getting the juice for the squeeze, as my wife likes to say. So I started looking into it and I started asking questions. All the PGA pros that hang out here, it was easy for me to ask questions. And what it came down to, the answer I was getting from multiples were, how long has it been since you were fit for these clubs? What do you need to do? So we started looking at the data. Sure enough, I was playing about, what are they, 10? How are they? It's not, whatever it was, 10 grams. Whatever it was, we took it off 10 grams out of the shaft and made a huge difference in my golf game. And we were able to get that data from the full swing simulators, no straps on your clubs, no special balls, no nothing. Very excited. And that's about it. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Great